Welcome to Rat Salad Review. Today I am here with Harald from the band Diggeth. Hello, Harald. What's up?
Hello. How are you doing?
I'm not doing too bad.
Yeah.
I've never heard of your band before, so
Right on.
you're going to have to tell me a lot about it.
Yeah, we will. We will.
Actually, what is that name Diggeth? Where does that come from?
Which basically that's the old English King James Bible spelling when they used all the verbs, with ending with th. And it comes from a part of the Bible, where it says, "Who shall diggeth a pit."
Okay.
And we thought that sounded really cool, because we do a lot of heavy digging on the guitars, with the riffs and stuff. And we said, we settle for Diggeth. That sounds pretty heavy.
All right, that's why I was kind of getting at that vibe because like you said with the F thing. So
yeah, there you
so I was right. Where are you from?
I'm from the Netherlands, from the east part of the Netherlands. It's 1 a.m. in the morning over here. It's
geez, I'm sorry.
Around 7 years down. Well, that happens when you play in a rock and roll band,
Yeah.
We're fine with that. Yeah, I'm east part of the Netherlands. I mean, when you talk about the Netherlands with people from abroad, they all know Amsterdam, but Netherlands is a small country, and it's more than Amsterdam. We're more we live on the countryside, very close to the German border. There's a lot of farming over here.
Really?
That's
Okay.
where I grew up, and there's a lot of our musical ideas and vibes come from. It's always funny when I talk to people from the United States. We always seem to connect a little bit on that southern vibe somehow. It's not the same, but I think a lot of influences in the United States. With all the immigrants from hundreds of years ago. I think there were a lot of farmers, from the Netherlands, from Germany that settled in the United States, and I think it's that connection, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. But tell me about Diggeth. When did the band start?
Well, the band started almost 20 years ago.
Wow, geez, all right.
Yeah. We always have been a three-piece. I mean, I've been in bands before. I started like late 80s playing in bands and did a lot of stuff. Cover bands, but also original stuff. And somewhere early 2000s, I started this band. I wanted to do a three-piece band because, back then it were all, 4-piece or 5-piece bands, and there were lots of stuff going on. And I wanted really, bit going back to basics, having a lot of, influences like from all the blues bands, and combine it with the heavy stuff, and go really back to basics, having one guitar, a little bit Black Sabbath-like, keep it simple and structure it around songs. And I was also fed up, being in bands with, more people. And every time when you have to make decisions, it gets harder and harder.
Oh, yeah. Like I'm going through that right now.
Yeah. I wanted to simplify everything. I had a three-piece band, and a three-piece band is something completely different than what I have done before. It's every instrument has its place, and you have to work really hard, to make it sound big, but it also gives you a lot of freedom. When you play in bands with more musicians, you have to stick to a formula, stick to a format. Right. And with a three-piece band, sometimes it's a journey, something happens and there you go,
Yeah. I mean, hey, Motorhead's done it, for how many years? So
yeah, Motorhead done it. ZZ Top did it, and a lot of bands basically. I mean, look at a little bit more modern band. Look at Pantera, they were a three-piece band as well,
basically.
Yeah, basically they were. So that's where we get our influences from, and we released 4 albums so far, and we got picked up a couple of years ago by Qumran Records in the United States, and they released our previous album, Gringos Galacticos, and we were planning to tour the United States in 2020, and then the whole pandemic thing came along. Right. So that was all sidelined for quite a while, but hopefully we make it around October.
Oh, okay.
We're going to do a couple of shows in the Chicago area. That's the plan so far.
Chicago? Why Chicago? Do you know anything about Chicago right now?
Well, the label is based in that area as well,
Yes, yes, yeah.
and we did quite well in that area, selling wise, and we want to build up an audience. So we've got to probably start in that area, but nothing is written in stone yet.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck. Hopefully everything works out well there.
Yeah, hopefully, because touring the United States, I guess it's easier, landing on the moon than doing that,
It seems to be.
Yeah.
Where I am in New York, there used to be plenty of clubs to play for bands and everything to even just to go to a club lately. But within the last few years, especially with the whole COVID thing, a lot of those clubs shut down.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard for bands to find shows.
That has been a total disaster, and it also over here, we play quite some shows and stuff, and everything looks kind of back to normal, but it isn't. It was really a big disaster for the whole industry, and I know a lot of people, technicians as well, that, ended up doing different jobs and never returned to the music business. So it's quite a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been playing shows recently?
Yeah, we actually we toured quite a lot on the new album, on the 0 Hour in Doomtown. We did a European tour with a couple of bands back in November. Also with members from the Skull, also from the Chicago area.
Okay.
They did a tour over here, and that went pretty well. We did a lot of shows in Germany, in Austria, France, Belgium, Holland. And we went back to the studio in January, starting on a new album, doing some demos and stuff like that. And we're going to start touring again around April and May. There are a lot of shows coming up for the summer, and we're completely booked for the fall, doing again stuff in Holland, Belgium, and hopefully we'll make it back to England. But England is also very difficult after what we had, the Brexit, they separated from the European region, and that makes it difficult for touring bands.
Right.
Yeah.
Even coming to the United States, that's going to be hard for you as well, I would imagine, because with the
that takes a lot of preparation. Absolutely, yeah.
But even like money wise, even like the flight and also the visas and everything, and I just hear a lot of bands are even just canceling their shows when they're going out of the country because they just aren't making enough money, and so it's it sucks for any band really,
It does.
Do
also the other way around. Last year we had an act like Anthrax, canceling their complete European tour, and it all has to do with the money thing. It doesn't work out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Do you notice since you've played shows recently, do you notice that the crowd is starting to come back and wanting to see these live shows? Or
yes, it does. And in the beginning, it was a bit weird, because we had also the whole thing, with the masks and everything, and everything was regulated. They let like 50 people in places where they could take 200, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty hard. And doing online shows, I didn't like that at all. That felt really weird. But the show must go on, and nowadays it's quite back to normal, I must say. The clubs are filled, are filled pretty well, and especially the festivals are doing well again. So hopefully we all recover from this.
Yeah, I hope so. It seems to be picking up back here too.
Yeah, it is, definitely is. Yeah.
It's just the one thing. It's just trying to find the places to play, because even my band's been trying to find places to play, and it's just like. Is it worth it? Because
it takes a lot of time, having a couple of agencies working for you, and being on top of everything, that's even harder than it was a couple of years ago.
Right.
You have to put a lot of effort into it, and we all got our day jobs and stuff. If you do it, for money or to make a living, it's really hard. You have to do it from the heart, because after all these years, I still like to play music. I still like to switch on an amp and come up with a riff that hasn't changed since I was 15. So that's as long as I can relate to that, it's okay for me.
Yeah.
So and we're building a following, so that's really nice to see. We see our Spotify numbers going up, because that's also a way to do it nowadays, and our YouTube views and stuff like that. But I like playing live. I like playing pubs. I like playing bigger shows. I like playing festivals. and yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, like I said, we're trying to book shows now, and I miss. I used to play. Last time I played a show was probably maybe 15 years ago.
Right.
And it was cool. I did my last show. I'm like, I'm done with this for now. And if I ever get into a band ever again, cool.
Yeah.
But now I'm in two bands, and
Right.
we want to play a show, but I don't know if I miss it or not. I mean, I kind of do. I miss seeing the people in the thing, and I miss the energy that crowd gives you when you're
That's it.
playing
Yep.
and stuff like that. But
That's it.
I'm a drummer, so I got to carry
Yeah.
more of this, all the stuff.
Yeah. 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 I mean, we played some bigger festivals, in the fall. We played a festival in the Netherlands. It's called Eldorado, and
Okay.
Clutch was one of the bands, on them as well. And so we had a huge stage and everything, and that's great too, And the day after we played in Belgium, we played in a club, that was a 200-seater, So I like both of them, It's great to do.
Yeah, it depends on the crowd. If you have a good
Definitely.
crowd, it doesn't matter how many people's there, as long as those
Exactly.
people they have the energy and they're giving it back to you.
Yeah.
That's what makes
Yeah.
it
I
fun.
mean, I played shows in front of 10 people, and they had the evening of their lives, and that's all what it's about.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what bands got you into music or
Whoa.
into playing?
That's a lot. I listened also to a lot of different bands. When I was really young, I had an
Yeah,
older
what's that like
brother.
that one band that made you like
Oh,
want to
that
get
one
to
band.
doing music?
Um, I guess that was probably listening to first or second album Iron Maiden, I guess.
Okay.
I remember I was playing soccer. I was something like 11 or 12 years old.
Mm.
And my brother came in with the second Iron Maiden album. And that was like lightning, it struck me. And I was going like, whoa,
Yeah.
maybe you should quit playing soccer, and try to get a guitar. That got me into playing guitar. They had those, those twin guitar harmonies and stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And after that, I listened to, bands that came before that, stuff like Thin Lizzy, for instance. I like a lot of Lizzy stuff because of the twin guitar work. But I also am very into, old Black Sabbath, but also some newer bands, like first couple of albums of Down. I think they're
Okay.
amazing,
Mm.
That stuff that we try to combine all of that, and
Yeah, I definitely do hear like a lot of different stuff in your music, especially
yeah.
like you said, down and stuff like that. So it's
For sure,
definitely
yeah.
doing that. Yeah, and you mentioned Thin Lizzy. They just got voted as Ireland's best. Wait, how am I supposed to say this now? Ireland's best band, I guess, because they got U2 and all those other bands too. But the Thin Lizzy is like the top band for them,
Yeah.
which I'm surprised. I thought U2 would have beat them out, but I was happy to see Thin Lizzy got that.
I'm happy to hear that as well. Yeah, sure. Yeah, they were a great band and great songwriters and great lyricists. Really great.
Yeah, it's a shame. Yeah, Phil Lynott is such an awesome vocalist and a good lyricist too. Like he's just
definitely. Yeah,
one of the tops.
It's like poetry,
Yeah, I see you've done a lot of shows. Like you guys always play out and everything, and you've played with a lot of really cool bands. Like, what's some of your favorite shows that you've done?
Whoa,
because you play with a lot of like heavy hitters here. I mean, Flotsam and Jetsam, they're one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But you also play with Sacred Reich and Soulfly, Megadeth and Exodus,
Slayer as well.
Slayer,
yeah. The show with Megadeth and Slayer. That's probably, I guess that was around 2011. I guess that was really great. And especially afterwards, the people in Slayer were really cool people and really accessible for us. And but I also like playing with Michael Schenker. We did a tour in Europe with Michael Schenker, and man, he's just a great guitarist.
right.
It's amazing how easy he plays, and it was really fun to watch and bonding a little bit after a couple of days. He always said like that he was a difficult person, but after a couple of days, he was with us with sound check and was really easygoing. So
Wow,
yeah, that was really cool. Yeah. Fond memories of that.
Wow, very cool. So that's your favorite show that you've done?
Probably, but it's hard to say because every time you play a new show and you think, oh, I'm never going to top that, and
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
something else happens, and it's special for one reason or another. It's difficult to say. I'm really grateful for the whole span of the whole thing. The longevity of it. I would have thought, when I was young, that I would still doing this after these many years, and playing good shows and having the luck, having good agencies and management and being, combined with really great acts. So I guess it's the whole cake, I guess.
Yeah. That's good that you line yourself with the right people, and then you get shows like you've been on. So that's awesome.
I mean, in June we're gonna play with Wolfgang Van Halen. With
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I would think so.
Probably going to be my next favorite show.
Yeah. I saw something funny he posted the other day. Somebody sent a tweet to him, stop using your father's name to get famous. And he's like, that's my last name. What is he supposed to do?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's great what he does. He's really talented. I saw some footage on YouTube where he played with the people from Foo Fighters, and
right.
I think they played Hot for Teacher or one of the other songs, and it sounded great. He's amazing musician, and wow.
Yeah, it's like, look what his father was. And then he played bass in his band. I mean,
exactly.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even fair, to compare him, to his father.
Right.
that was an icon, and he has to do the stuff, on his own, and of course he has the name, and of course he's going to use that. Yeah.
You can't get around that, but I think he'll be fine.
It's always easy to criticize,
Yeah.
And I think people should a little bit more mind their own business, and not to be too critical about other people.
Yeah. Now, I mentioned before, I didn't really know too much about your band now, and you're a three-piece. Has it been always the same three members in the band?
No. We had some lineup changes going on. We started with a different drummer and bass player back in the day, but this lineup is pretty solid for the last couple of years. The drummer Casper is playing now, I guess, for the last 8 years, something like that. Mm-hmm. And the recent change we had was about 2 years ago. We got Pebbles on the bass, or a bass player, and I've known her for years. I've played in a cover band with her a couple of years ago, and she's an amazing bass player. And I always knew when there's something going to happen or it has to be a change, she's the next one I'm going to call.
Right. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. So it must be easy just to continue on with them because you kind of knew them already. So
yeah, I knew them, and we gelled really good. And it's. To me, it's always, when you change lineup or, of course, the sound changes, but after a while you get used to it and you find new sounds, and we get along pretty well. That's the most important thing, when we're doing the tours, sometimes you're cramped in a little van, and driving around from town to town. You have to get along pretty well, and you have to be a bit of crazy, to do it. And be road warriors, and sometimes you don't sleep enough and people get cranky and stuff like that. But we have just, lots of fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's what it's all about. Yeah.
Now, is that why some of the other members aren't around anymore? They couldn't handle all the travel?
Yeah, absolutely. Our last bass player left because of that. For him, it was really hard to, we have our private lives, we have our day jobs, we get older. And for him, it was really difficult to combine all that, and he was really like touring was pretty exhausting for him, and he came to a point where he said, like, man, I can't do it no more, That's how it goes,
Yeah. Yeah, and you're hanging in there, so you want to keep this thing going.
Yeah, I'm still doing it. I mean, as long as I'm healthy, and it's not that we, party all day. That doesn't work if you're touring, But we have our fun, we have our days. But as long as I can do it, physically, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, there's no reason not to,
Exactly. Yeah, well, that's what we saw with the pandemic. I fought for because it started, and then I thought, okay, this might be over in a couple of weeks, and then it became months, and then it started to drag really long out. And I really had this idea, okay, this might be it. Maybe we're never going to return back to normal. Yeah, that was really weird.
Yeah. There was a lot of bands that just end up giving up because they didn't know, they weren't making any money and they didn't know what they were going to do. So it's,
I mean, if you do this for a living, and also look at the people that, do the tech side of things, being light engineers or sound engineers or running the studio or a venue. Yeah, it was a complete disaster.
Yeah. Let's see. What's some bands that you're into now? Is there any like new bands out there that you are really liking? Or is there any bands in the Netherlands that you're like maybe you play with once in a while that you really like? Because I don't hear too many Netherlands bands.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of bands from the Netherlands, that made it big, were really in more the female gothic scene, or metal like. That's not really my cup of tea.
Yeah.
But there are a couple of underground bands that are really doing well. The thing is, what I always see in the Netherlands, that bands don't last that long. They come up with a good album and they do a couple of shows and then they split up or something happens. So, man, I see through the years I've seen a lot of good bands. We have a band in Holland called Peter Pan Speed Rock. They're a bit Motorhead like. Really? They're really good. They tour the States as well, and they're pretty big over here. And that's really a live band I really like. They're really good. Yeah. So that's one that pops up now, and yeah. But newer bands, international. I mean, there's so much good music out there. We toured, in the fall with a band from Poland called Dope Lord.
Okay.
And they were live. They were great. I never ever heard of them before, but they're doing pretty well in Poland. And that's the funny part, when you get around it, you see that every country, every region has its own scene, with their own kings of rock and roll, that are doing quite well in their own area. It drives you crazy how many bands there are, and doing stuff in their own little niche, and it's cool, but man, it's difficult to follow all that.
Yeah, it's cool. It is cool, but it's saturated with too many bands.
Totally, and that makes it really difficult, to set yourself apart or doing anything. I mean, I have the same thing. You go to a festival and you see 10, 12 new bands you never heard before of.
Right.
Yeah. And especially with the digital age, and all the Spotify and the YouTube, I mean, back in the day, it was sending tapes,
Right. Yeah. What do you think of all the streaming and stuff like that? Are you more into like the records and CDs? I see you do have CDs behind you, so.
Yeah, well, I'm more a vinyl guy, to be honest. I still like that, and I still have got all my records from back in the day, and I'll still buy new ones.
Yeah.
But CDs as well. The good thing about the digital is, about Spotify and stuff like that, you discover bands really easily.
Right.
That's nice.
Yeah.
But I also noticed, when you buy a physical record, you're going to put a lot of more time into it. You're going to sit down and play side A and play side B, and you look at the cover and all this stuff. And I think that was a pretty big part of all the excitement of music when I was young. That was my way of, learning new records. I remember, early Iron Maiden records where I can even tell what's on the sleeve, and in which studio they recorded it.
Yeah, exactly.
All those credits and stuff, for some reason, and I kept reading it, and you were more into the lyrics. And to me, that seems to be a little bit gone, with all the internet music going on. On the other side, it's much easier to discover all kinds of bands, so.
Yeah. It's tough to have a definitive answer to that question, because it's just I like the ease of the streaming and Spotify and Amazon, all that stuff, but I still buy stuff too all the time, but I miss the feel of just, because if I'm not streaming, if I don't like the song or I don't want to hear it at that moment, skip. Yeah. With the record, I'm too lazy to go over there and move the needle.
well, that's the whole point. Back in the day, I bought albums, from my hard-earned money, and then I played side A, and I was going I'm not sure if I'm into it, you know?
Yeah.
And then I played it 10 times and I played it 20 times. And then I discovered it were classic albums, you know, because just by repeating, I got into it, you know, and I heard all the little details.
Yeah.
And I started to figure it out, you know, and reading the lyrics and go, oh, wow, you know, this is really thought out. And the thing is with the Spotify, if you don't like it, you skip it, you might, you know, miss something, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And who knows if that song even ever comes back in your playlist ever again, just because you skipped it.
Yeah.
Spotify has its own little thing. What's that?
Yeah. Interesting discussion.
Yeah. We don't know what that guy over at Spotify does. He controls everything.
Yeah, totally.
Actually, I just found out.
Hand, you know, I mean, on the other hand, you know, having all the digital options, you know, recording wise, you know, you can do a lot of more stuff by yourself, which makes it a lot easier. And also connecting to other people, you know, having records out in the United States. If you would have told me that 25 years ago, you know, I would have probably, you know, went insane, you know. Right, so that's stuff you can do nowadays. You know, it's much easier to get in touch, you know, and organize things, you know, from over here, you know, setting up shows, you know, thousands of miles on the other side of the globe. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Do you guys record in the studio or do you record from home? How do you guys?
Yeah, we record in the studio, but we also got our own studio at my place. I built that a couple of years ago when I moved to this place where I'm living now. I built my own studio. It's big enough even to record drums, because that's always the big thing, you know, recording drums.
Right, yeah.
And we do everything ourselves. Sometimes, you know, when it comes to mastering or certain mixing things, you know, we, you know, get in some different set of ears, you know, and some help. Because sometimes it's good, you know, to move away a little bit from what you're doing. Otherwise, you drive yourself crazy.
Oh yeah.
But we do a lot of stuff ourselves. You know, I've been engineering, you know, for, I don't know, 20, 25 years. So now I know my way around. But with your own music, sometimes you're too close on it, you know, and you have to get some help on it. But we try to do most of the things ourselves. You know, it's you know, it from all the costs, you know, it's so much better to do it that way. And the only thing is you have to, in the beginning, you have to invest a lot, because you need a good place to record, you know, because when the place is not okay, you never get a good recording.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to buy the software and all the stuff you need nowadays, but, you know, getting a good sound, that's a different thing.
Yeah. Well, whatever you're doing a very good job, because what I've heard so far sounds really good. So I had to dig more into your discography there. So I had to get more familiar with your music. Cool. And I definitely will. Right. Where can people go to find your band?
Well, of course, on the internet. I mean, if you type in Diggeth on Spotify, you find all our albums. We're on YouTube. We got a couple of new videos out from the last album. We're also on the other social media, Facebook, stuff like that. We're pretty active on the Facebook thing, because we see that a lot of, you know, people that are into our music still they use Facebook a lot. Mm-hmm. So we're pretty active on that one. And yeah, that's where most of the people can find us, and hopefully, of course, live, because that's what we like to do best.
Yes, I hope so. And when do you think maybe the album might be done, the new album?
Wow, that's an interesting question, because we're still we're doing demos. I mean, the last album was a double album, and that was pretty a tour de force, you know, to record that and write lyrics for and get everything done. So the next album will probably be a single disc, you know, talking about, you know, 10, maybe 12 songs. I don't know. And I think we're somewhere halfway with writing new songs. I think we got something like 6 or 7 ideas sitting around. And hopefully we can finish the basic tracks before the summer, fingers crossed, because shows are coming in now. So it's, you know, a little bit how to schedule stuff. And, you know, and from September until December, we're completely booked. So there's no way, you know, doing recordings then. So hopefully we get the majority of the work done before the summer, and, you know, and then finish it, you know, somewhere early 24. And the thing is, you know, getting vinyl printed takes forever nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy. It's really crazy. Sometimes you have to wait up to 8 months, you know, to get
that's insane.
Physical album. That's crazy. Hopefully it goes a little bit quicker next year, but somewhere in 24, hopefully around the summer, maybe fall, hopefully we have the new album ready. But first we're gonna do a live record.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're doing a show in the Netherlands on the 30th of April in a city called Arnhem. And that's a little bit like our stomping grounds. We got a lot of people over there. And we're going to do a show that we're going to record it and put out a live album. And that will be released in the fall.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Cool. So something for people to, wait for the real album. So
that was on my bucket list for quite a while, doing a live album. So it's looking good for us.
All right, great, awesome. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Had a lot of fun talking to you, and I'm glad to get to know your band and everything. And I will definitely go check out more of the music because I liked what I heard. So please, everybody, go check out Diggeth. And you got a regular website too, diggeth.com, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, and people go check that out as well.
Yeah.
All right, Harald, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. And everybody, hit subscribe on Rat Salad Review or go to ratsaladreview.com, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
For all hard rock, heavy metal bands needing worldwide exposure at affordable prices, Online Metal Promo PR is taking bands from the underground to above ground. Visit their official website at onlinemetalpromo.net. onlinemetalpromo.net.